Hi guys, this is Dr. Christine coming to you with another, some more strategies, but this time it's going to be for the dismissive avoidant attachment style individual. So I'm going to be giving the dismissive avoidant attachment style individual some strategies on how to become, more, to have more healthy relationships, to be able to really change the way of how they've usually responded and reacted in relationships, to change it so that you can have better and more healthy relationships. So I'm going to be giving you some strategies. And remember guys, the dismissive avoidant individual is a person who just does not trust relationships. They just don't trust relationships, right? And so it's going to be a lot of the strategies are going to be built around kind of developing trust in relationships, and also just validating others in terms of other people outside of themselves, because someone with a dismissive avoidant attachment style they're very comfortable being by themselves. So in relationships, they will also show up as just wanting to spend time by themselves and not really wanting to spend time with their loved ones or the people who they say they care about. And it's really, guys, it's kind of difficult, because I think it's just that they grew up in this household that kind of forced them as children, because it's survival when you're a child. And the way they survived emotionally, so they didn't go crazy at that time, was to really learn how to self-soothe. And so they're now experts at self-soothing and being very comfortable in their own company. And so they don't trust relationships because they could never trust, when they were children, for their caregivers to be there for them when they needed them. I mean, they would consistently reach out, and after a while they just say, well, why bother? Why bother? And so they found ways to soothe themselves and to become, in a way, comfortable being alone. And they only depend on themselves. They're very, they have a tendency to isolate themselves, because they believe they don't need anyone. They can live without anyone. And that can become a problem when you're going to be in an intimate relationship. So I wanted to give the dismissive avoidant individuals some strategies on how to really work on having better relationships. That is, if you want to, because it's going to take work, and it's going to take time, and it's going to take effort and consistency. And so you have to really be 100% in on this. You have to have a 100% buy-in on wanting to make this change, especially for the dismissive avoidant, because you guys, you really don't like that vulnerability in a relationship. So it's very hard, and that's why this is probably one of the best ways for you to work on yourself, for you to be vulnerable with others, right? So that is one of the things that you're going to have to work on as I go through it. But the first thing I want you to have to, with every single thing that you're going to want to change, you have to be aware that there's a problem, and accept that there's a problem and something needs changing. So that's the first thing that you need to do, is really become aware of the problems. Think back in your relationships and look at what the recurring patterns are in all of your relationships. What are those things that you keep doing that keep, that keep making your partner unhappy, or that even makes you unhappy, right? Or that result in some kind of a quarrel, and that happens not only in one relationship, but with every single relationship that you've been in, right? Write those things down, because awareness is really important. Because once you are aware of these things, guys, then it will, and you write them down, you will say, okay, this thing that I really made a note of is happening. What do I do? Right? And I'm going to give you some strategies as I go down, right? So write it down, become aware of it, look at your past relationships, write down all the things that you've found yourself doing, recurring. It's just recurring in your relationship, every single relationship that you're in. These things is what you do. This is how you behave. This is how you interact with your partner. All right, so awareness is the first thing, so you have to recognize it before you can change it. You have to recognize it before you can change it, right? If you don't know what you're going to change, you have to recognize and know what you need to change, right? The next thing is to practice active listening. Dismissive avoidant individuals they don't have the patience to listen. They don't have the patience to listen. And a lot of times as in the word dismissive, you can become very dismissive to your partners. Dismissive. But can you just hurry up and tell me what you want to say? Why are you going around and around and around? Knowing that there are some people, yes, they can take a little while to get to their point, but you can be very dismissive and tell them to, just hurry up and tell me what you need. What exactly do you want? And it can become very demanding and demeaning to the person, and really kind of make that person really feel bad. Your partner, this is the person that you're supposed to be in love with, right? And but you or even your children, you do that to your children too. You do that to everyone, right? So you need to recognize this is a thing that you do. You dismiss others and you don't listen. And so the first thing you have to do is learn how to really practice. It's not really learn. It's going to be practice. It's going to be practice. Practice make an effort to actually really listen to someone. Be with that person when they're talking. Listen to them. Ask questions about what they're saying, clarifying questions, and ask, questions about what they're saying, that you can better understand what they're saying. And so they can actually feel that you're actually listening to them by asking questions and looking at them instead of, like just hurrying up and looking annoyed and angry so that you want them to just get it out and done, right? So that is one thing. The other thing, guys, as I mentioned earlier, is allowing yourself to become vulnerable. Your partner wants you to be vulnerable because, just like they may share vulnerable things with you, you have to be willing, and because of this lack of trust that permeates through your this attachment style, you find it very difficult to trust others, and so you don't want to trust people to tell them all your stuff that you're struggling with, and so you keep that to yourself. You don't share a lot of things about your struggles that your family or you're having with your family members or your past relationships, except to put down your past partner. That's the only way you might share, but you're not going to say, I'm having a difficult time with my family, and this is what happened, this is what happened, and this is what happened. And so for you to be able to sit down and say, I have a difficult time doing this or feeling this or doing that, you're not going to sit and do that. So this is something that you have to practice with your partner. If this is a partner that you trust, you're married to them, I'm hoping that you trust them, right? And I hope you chose wisely. Then you have to be able to sit down with that partner to really discuss the things that are bothering you, the things that concern you, and so that person now feels that you're letting them into your space, because the tendency for you as a dismissive avoidant is to push people away and to keep them at a certain level place. There's always this barrier that you have up, that you can come this far but no further. So they never feel like they quite know you, and so for someone to feel like they know you, you have to lower that guard, little by little, and it is good to do it with your partner, guys, because guess what? I'm sure that the partner wants to work with you, because they want that's to see that side of you. So you have to be able to speak to your partner and say, okay, I'm going to be doing this, I'm working on this, I'm trying to work to do better on this, so that we're communicating better and that we have a better relationship. And I'm trying to change because I notice that there are some things that I keep doing and they're not working out because they always cause problems in a relationship. And you have to become that comfortable with somebody else to tell them that, so they can help you and they can support you in your journey of healing. All right. Now that takes time. So make baby steps. Give them a little thing. Do something small. Tell them something small that isn't too tingling. Then see how they respond, and then you can go further and further and further. Okay. The next thing is after active listening, you have to be able to validate people's feelings, guys. The tendency is to just, because you can take care of yourself. As a dismissive avoidant, you've always done that because as a child, you sought out for people to hug you, kiss you, talk to you, whatever, and they didn't. And so you found ways to self-soothe, and you might do gaming, or you might do other things. You might watch pornography. You might binge watch TV. You might do all kind of different. You might be addicted to some kind of drugs. You might just have multiple women, all that kind of stuff, right? Or you just affairs. And so those are things that you do to self-soothe yourself. And, there are other things, of course. Some people do some dangerous things like go bungee jumping off, or some playing skydiving. These people, it's like, it's like a thing of control. as well as just being able to get away from whatever they're dealing with. It's an escape mechanism. It's an escape mechanism. So what you need to do is to learn to validate the feelings of others, right? So that, learn to acknowledge others' feelings, because usually you just dismiss it because you don't feel those things, because you've stopped yourself from feeling those things because it hurt too much when you were younger, so you just cut yourself off. And so you can appear very cold and just cold and distant. You don't, you just don't. And so if somebody comes to you and telling you something that's happened to them during the day, and they're looking for you to validate them, especially your spouse, right? You're looking for them to kind of just say, don't worry, honey, sit and talk with them, listen to them, hear them, and validate how they're feeling. But you don't do that. That's not the dismissive avoidant. So this is something that you have to practice. You have to do it in baby steps, as I say. You have to be able to acknowledge and respect their feelings by sitting down with them and listening to them, and actually just sitting in there. It's going to be uncomfortable at the beginning, guys, because this is not how you operate normally. It's going to be uncomfortable, but learn to sit with that discomfort instead of running away every time. And because you normally run away and distance yourself when things like this happen, anything that has heightened emotional impact on you, whether it be somebody telling you about their hard day or somebody wanting to discuss a difficult situation, the first thing that you do normally is to leave and go and hibernate and go somewhere else and distance yourself, and you'll just disappear, right? So for you to help yourself to grow, to become a better partner for your in your relationships, you have to be able to really be able to sit with the discomfort and work through it. It gets better as when you start feeling that way. Just calm yourself down and try to really just say you're doing this to work on yourself, because it helps afterwards when you're actually at the point that you're managing this. Then you'll see that you'll have better relationships with your partner and your family members and your co-workers and everybody else. All right. Someone with a dismissive avoidant attachment style the normal reaction is to invalidate others' feelings, right? So you just like push it aside, like, I don't feel that way when this happens to me. Why do you feel that way? You're weak. A lot of times you see others who may want to maybe having struggles of certain things, of a certain kind that that you just don't have, because you just don't allow it to happen, because what you're really doing is really stifling that side of you, so you don't feel anything. And so it appears you come off as really cold and not, like you just can't understand somebody else when they're going through that thing, right? So you have to sit with it, guys. Okay, the next thing is to seek professional help. This, unfortunately, though, is one of the things that I find in my practice, is that someone with a dismissive avoidant attachment style is one of the least likely attachment styles to seek help. And this is primarily because of the fact that you do not like being vulnerable and telling your stuff, to being vulnerable in front of anyone, right? And so to heal, though, in any kind of a thing, you have to become vulnerable, because you have to speak about those things that you're struggling with. And so a dismissive avoidant attachment style individual find it really difficult to be vulnerable, so they will more than likely not seek help from a therapist. But there are a few that will do it. It depends on, and remember, I always want to remind you that everything is along a spectrum. So it depends on how far along the spectrum you are. You might be in the middle somewhere, and you will be more open to getting help and becoming vulnerable. But remember, guys, every single attachment style I speak about, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you about the others. Everything is always along a spectrum. Always along a spectrum. You're not 100% dismissive. There's always a little part, maybe you're anxious in a little tip of anxiety sometimes around relationships, or maybe you're secure in certain areas of your relationship, but the main theme of your attachment style is really more dismissive. So that's why you would be termed as a dismissive avoidant attachment style. So The other thing that it's difficult for you guys and yet you have to work on is empathy. Having empathy, being able to understand and share the feelings of others. Kind of put yourself in the place of the person that's, to be able to empathize with somebody. It's like you have to put yourself in the other person's place. How are they feeling? How would I feel if I lost my job? How would I feel if I got just this person just cheated on me? How would I feel? So that is how you are able to empathize. But because you always just self-soothe by denying it, because usually you don't want to sit down and empathize with anything. You want to deny it and stuff it down because you don't want to feel that emotion. All right, the next thing, guys, is, as I say, trust is one of the biggest thing in this thing. So you have to work on building trust, because that's a crucial component of any relationship we're in. It doesn't matter which relationship we're in. It can be with our parents, with our children, with our spouses, but especially with our spouses, we have to be able to build trust. And as I say, it goes across every single relationship, right? Be honest. You have to practice being honest and transparent and consistent in your interaction with others for them to be able to, and be willing also, just like any other relationship, any other attachment style, to give the person the benefit of the doubt instead of just shutting them out and leaving, which is the case is what somebody with a dismissive avoidant attachment style will do. You will just, if you suspect that they're dishonest in a certain way, you just decide that they're dishonest. You don't ask or find out. You just block them out, right? The same thing with any other thing that you feel that they've done. You don't ask and see. You don't want to sit and talk. That's the other thing, is because you don't want to sit and talk, because for you do not like anything that causes emotional depth, that with any emotional depth that you have to be in, that you have to sit down and maybe there's a little anxiety and emotional thing that causes you to feel very, very, very uncomfortable. And so you try to push those away and you just keep away from those things. But if you're going to build a trust, guys, you have to be able to allow some of those emotional things to allow yourself to participate in some of those emotional things that come up in any type of relationship. And the last thing I want you to remember is that, remember that changing any type of behavior is hard. It's not easy. It requires consistency. It requires effort. It requires that you do it, that you have a goal in mind. You want to be a better person in a relationship. Maybe this is a person that you really love and you don't want to lose this individual, and you really want to see, you really, really, really want to work on yourself. So it has to be, you have to be all in, guys. And so it's a commitment. It's a commitment for change. And so you have to keep doing it over and over again every single day. Keeping those things that you have to work on in top of mind, so that you can always focus on those things. I hope you guys learned something from this video, and that it will help you in your relationships. And if you practice it, guys, it will at least improve. It might not totally cure you, or you will not. Nobody's totally perfect, but it will definitely. You will definitely reap benefits from doing these things that I mentioned, these strategies, practicing these strategies on a daily basis. So guys, this is Dr. Christine, your relationship and mindset master doctor. And I want to really ask you to like this video for me and share it with friends that you might have who might be dismissive, or it could be yourself. Please like it, comment, tell me ways that you may have challenges and maybe ways that you have that's worked for you in the comment section. And please subscribe so that as soon as I upload another video, any new videos, that you will be notified immediately. So again, this is Dr. Christine. Take care, guys, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.